What is up, YouTube? This is DeFGandolf coming to you with another World of Tanks video, and today I'm in Tank Inspector, and we're going to be taking a look at the T20 American Tier 7 medium tank. So, in just a little bit I'll get into some gameplay, but I'm kind of experimenting around, I guess you can say, and we're going to start out in Tank Inspector today. Now, what we're going to do in Tank Inspector is we're going to look at the armor of the tank, as well as the gun. So, the tank is a highly mobile tank with a good camo rating and a decent gun. Now, to make up for that, it has pretty much no armor. So my reference shell is going to be a 105mm shell, because that is a fairly standard shell in the tier of 7. Many tanks such as the T-29, that is the largest gun they have, and on many tank destroyers that is the same as well. So yes, this tank is a very nice looking tank. It's a very low profile tank, very hard to hit if you are moving at top speed, especially if you are driving it horizontal to the enemy. So let's look at the armor. I'm going to be looking at the effective armor ratings, because really, to be honest, the on paper armor doesn't matter. What really matters is the effective armor rating of the tank. So the effective front armor is about 80. As you can see, depending on where you shoot, it's a little bit different. Now, it does have one frontal weak spot. Say you're driving a low-tier light tank, and you have to engage this thing from the front. Right there. There's a machine gun turret right here, and it's only 65-ish millimeters. And you can see it right there. I'm going to take away the colors. And that is a frontal weak spot, although, you know, you don't really need to aim for weak spots generally when you're shooting at this tank. Now, the frontal turret armor is about 100mm thick. On paper, it is 100mm, and as you can see, it's basically 100. It is rounded off, so there's a very drastic increase in armor as you get near the edges, because the front is rounded off, as you can see there. Now, the gun mantle right here, depending on where you shoot, is anywhere from about 120 to about 200mm. And that'll give a lot of tanks trouble. It is kind of like the gun mantle on the Jackson and the Hellcat. It can be kind of trolly because you end up with like a tier 8 or 9 tank shoot you right there, and it just doesn't go through, and then they get mad, and it's very funny to see. I've had people call me a hacker for it. I had one particular guy called me a hacker for it. He was in a tier 9 medium tank, and he bounced off of that. It was pretty funny, I have to say. But yeah, so the side armor of this tank is 50mm on paper here. And then if you have to shoot through the spaced armor provided by the track, it is roughly 90mm. On the side of the turret, depending on where you shoot, is anywhere from about 60 to about 79-ish. And if you have to shoot for a weak spot, there is an area of 50mm right here on the side of the turret, although that is a very small target to hit. As you can see, it's like a little observation port right there. Just aim for the side. In fact, you really don't truly have to aim. The rear of the tank, you shouldn't have any trouble penetrating. The back of the turret is about 65mm thick. So your best bet, if you're in, again, say a low tier tank, just aim for the straight up back of the tank. I mean, you shouldn't have any trouble if you're in any tank with a half respectable gun. So the angles of elevation on this gun are good. So if you have enemies above you, you should not have any trouble hitting them. And your angles of depression is also fairly good. So it does have that classic American average gun depression. You can peek over hills rather well if you play the tank correctly and get to the right places. And the turret is small to where you can easily just peek up, shoot, and back down before they can really get an accurate shot off at you. So yes, the gun on this tank is a 90mm gun with 160 penetration on standard shells, 243 with APCR, and average damage of 240. Now, its high explosive damage is 320, and the only thing I ever recommend shooting high explosive at with a tank is enemy artillery. That is it. I wouldn't even waste my time on light tanks with it. You're just better off, generally speaking, using the armor piercing. Now, one drawback of this gun is its reload time at just over 8 seconds. And that is with a fully trained crew, and I don't think I have a gun rammer on here, but I might. So you can expect anywhere from about 8 seconds to 11 second reload on this 90mm gun. So reload speed, definitely not a strong point, and also its penetration of only 160 is not an extremely strong factor of this tank either. But, again, this is a highly mobile tank, so if you can get around the enemy heavy tanks and completely outmaneuver them, it shouldn't be an issue, especially if you're shooting enemy tanks of a lower tier such as 5 and 6. So, overall, I really, really like this tank. If you side scrape properly with it, I mean, that's a lot of armor to shoot through. Let's say this person driving the T20 was side scraping like this. You would really want to shoot the small area up front that he has exposed and the turret, because otherwise you're going to end up shooting this very, very, very well angled 50 millimeters of armor here. That can be anywhere from basically a guaranteed ricochet to a little over 200 millimeters, depending on where you shoot them. So, this tank, not very well armored, but again, it is fast and it does have an okay gun, albeit the reload speed is not exactly optimal. So, let's hop into some gameplay. I will be right back. Alright, so here we are in the game. We are here on Redshire, and we only have a 41% chance to win, but that's really in the give or take range on XVM. You can't really standardly trust the XVM chance to win. They're just kind of a basic indication. Don't throw the game just because it says you're going to lose by 10% chance. Now, granted, if it says you have an 80-90% chance to win, there's a good chance there's reasoning behind that, but generally speaking, it's just kind of a base mark. So, yes, we got lucky. I'm in a tier 7 battle here. And what I really like to do on this map in my quicker tanks, as well as some tank destroyers, is, see my cursor here, come up along the left side of this hill, and just kind of scout around right here, try to spot any enemies that might be trying to move up through here in the start of the game, and also get enemies spotted that try to move up right here quickly. As you can see, an ELC AMX does just this, and I get the kill on him. Now, before I start, one more thing I want to mention. In 8.11, this map had some major changes, especially to TD Hill right here. This used to be just covered in foliage cover. I mean, TDs could sit back here for an entire game and not get spotted. I mean, it was just completely... You didn't have a chance if you were on the opposing team, because they could take this part of the hill right here. You would never see them. You would just get hit by massive shells that you have no clue where it came from. And the arty would just be left taking pop shots at the area, just hoping for the best. So, in 8.11, the foliage was very much cut down. There's very, very, very minimal cover up there now compared to what used to be there. So, that's one change that was really nice. And also down on this side, the hill that tank destroyers like to sit on the eastern side of the map here, it also had the same deal done to it. The rocks are still there that provide cover, but a lot of the bushes and trees were, in fact, removed. So let's get this game started. So like I said, I'm going to move up the left side of the ridge.
Show on the road.
And we have a decent team as far as tanks here. And the T-29 is a very, very good American heavy tank. And this is a good map for him if he gets himself into a very favorable environment. Because that thing's turret, I mean, there are tier 10s that can't penetrate the T-29's turret. So, I mean, it's a very troll tank if played correctly. So I'm going to come up to the top of this ridge and do kind of a scouting run. This tank is a fairly quick tank. It's not the fastest out there by no means. It is still a medium tank. It's nowhere near light tank fast. But it is still a fairly quick tank, and it does have that really good camera rating. So, just coming along up here, peeking the turret above the hill, trying to spot enemies that might be coming up the top of the ridge here. And then, the Wild ELC AMX appears while I'm sitting behind this tree. And I get one good hit on him. And that ELC is moving at top speed, so he is fairly hard to hit. As you can see, there was one miss. And I rush this shot, and I just completely donk it. I do believe that I missed a little bit high there. And then this one, he turned straight away from me. All too easy. One and done. So now we have spotted their T-29, their M4, over here on the western side. And there's also a VK3002M over there. And that is a tier 6 medium tank. So I decided I probably need to just kind of work around this and try to figure something out. And then these two tanks are spotted up here. Now we have a tier 6 heavy and a Dicker Max. Dicker Max has a very good gun. I don't really want to get shot by that. It has good penetration, good damage. So I really want to try to avoid that if I can. I get flanking shots at that T-29 turret, and I put one nice one into him. The side of the turret, if you shoot it in the right places, really isn't all that strong, but it's really the front and the way it's kind of rounded off at the front that makes it just so bouncy of a turret. So now I'm just kind of trying to, I don't want to say side scrape, that's kind of what I'm doing. And a T-20 appears over here. And this guy, I don't know what he was doing. He should have fired a shot at me there, but he didn't. So I'm just kind of waiting to see what he does. So, put one shot into him for his hesitation. And that's one thing that you really cannot afford to do in tanks like the T-20. You cannot hesitate. If you see an opportunity to escape or get through the enemy team, you have to take it or you will die. And you will not have success in this tank. So, now he's running away. I've put 2 good shots into him, and he knows that I have the superior position there. So he's doing the right thing, he's backing off, but he's going to go up the center road and meet his demise from there. Now the Dicker Max is still over here on the hill to the left, and I want to try to pop out here and see if I can spot the T-20 again, but he has gotten away. So I'm just going to back off. I really don't feel like getting shot by a tank destroyer right now, because I really don't want to lose any HP that I really didn't have to lose. So that SU-100 is on very, very, very low health. So he's gonna have some issues here in a moment with the Dicker Max. T-20 has been spotted out, but as I said, he's going down the center road. And here's their Tier 6 Heavy that was up on the hill. He's firing at our lunches right now, and he has killed him. The Dicker Max has killed our SU-100 as well. Dicker Max's reload time isn't great, so I go on and put a shot into him. The Heavy starts shooting at me, so now it's time to use this tank's mobility to my advantage. Step number 1 is get around him and let his turret turn play to his disadvantage. Try to get over this ridge and avoid a shot, but I end up taking it anyway, just so I'm cresting over the ridge. Now I'm going to use this rock and kind of play do-si-do with this Tier 6 Heavy. Any cover that you can find is really helpful when you're driving fast tanks like this. Just keep them wondering which side you're going to pop out on. Don't be predictable. And in this case, I just kind of waited for him to come around that corner so I could put a shot into him. Now again, I'm using my speed to kind of get around the corner. Just keep them coming to me. One more. Now I know we're a one shot for each other. So at this point, I just need to charge him. Use the gun turn to my advantage, and I do finish him off. Now, in retrospect, I probably should have charged around him sooner. Probably wouldn't have taken as much damage and would have gotten the kill all the same. But at the same time, hey, I mean, I got him, he didn't get me, so it's all good. So at this point, the inevitable happens. I get shot by an enemy tank destroyer. I really didn't think he would be watching me right there. I thought he would be focused on our Sherman Jumbo that is right down here. But unfortunately, I was incorrect there, and I did buy the farm. So yeah, I did over 2,000 damage though, so that is a good round. I'm not gonna be a liar and say that I do 2,000 damage every game. I don't. And you can tell by my XVM efficiency rating of only 701. I mean, I strive to do at least 1,000 per game, and I try to do about 125% the HP of my tank that I'm driving. But I mean, realistically, I just don't do that all the time. But we do go on to win this game. Our Jumbo. He makes some bad decisions to start off with here, but he does end up clutching it. So yeah, if you enjoyed this video, please do head over to my channel and subscribe so that you don't miss any of the great World of Tanks content done on my channel in the very near future. And if you have any questions or comments, be sure to drop in the comment section below. Tell me what you think, your opinions, and so forth. And yeah, this is DeFGandolf signing off. Later, guys.